At this time at the Quick Speed Shop, I'm back working on the Ford Econoline Boogie van project. As you can see, I've got the whole front end tore off this thing, and getting it stripped down, getting ready for conversion action. We're starting to start the video right now. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Alright, here we go, bam, I'm going to rip right into it. First thing I want to do on the van is I'm taking out the square headlight grille and I'm backdating this thing to the 75 to 78 nose, which has a different grille and round headlights with turn signals down here. I got a brand new valence panel I bought on the internet. I actually bought 3 of them because you never know when this stuff's going to go out of reproduction. So I bought 3 of them. They're cheap. They're like, I don't know, like $15, $18. I'll show you those later. But so I want to take all this out because I don't want this grill to get broke. I'm going to store it away for in the future. So let me take this out here. We got some, what we got down here? Phillips screws, and I've got these button deals up here to pop out. I'll pop this grill out of here. So these deals here, I think the centers pull out, they come out or something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they got a little plunger in the center. They pull out. Oop. I don't know how you're supposed to do it without deforming it. Probably not with side cutters. There's 2 Phillips screws under the marker lights in each corner of the grill, and then there might be a couple in the center. You gotta look and see. Well, there would be a screw, 2 screws down here in the center, but this valence panel is not the original one to the van, and it doesn't have screws there. So the grill is floating free. You just gotta pull these plastic deals out. This one's fighting me. Okay, I got the last 2 out, so let's go ahead and remove this mint condition original 88 grill. Mint. Set this aside so it doesn't get broke. Where? Oh, I need that over here. So this van, when I got it, they'd pushed it around and they'd smashed the lower valence. So I just took this lower valence off my parts box truck out back, and I slapped it on here just so it would have some filling, a piece in there in the fill. And looks like they hit the radiator too. Hopefully that doesn't leak. Even though this thing's a little worse for wear, it's got some missing fins in here. But it is original copper radiator, and they're getting hard to find. I could probably have it record actually. So when I put the round headlight grill in this, I've actually got to cut. I've cut up a bunch of old vans in the junkyard, and I've cut this panel out because the core support and all that is the same all the way from 75 up to 91 on these vans, but where the headlights are changes. So let me remove these headlight buckets from the square headlights, and I will hold up the round headlight grill in place so you can get a look at the round headlight grill. Remove the spring that holds the lower part of the bucket, and we'll remove the bucket, just like that. Alright, now watch this. Here we go, we're going back to 1970. The 1970s, just like that. Bam! Now this grill is, I got 5 of these grills. I got 3 that are pretty good shape and 2 that are for parts. This one is the worst of the 3. I'm just going to stick it in there, but look at that. That is the round headlight grill that will be going into this thing. Then the lower valence panel will have the same turn signals. The old turn signals are in the newer grill. They mount in a hole down here, and the turn signals are down there. But that is what we're going for. I really like the look of these early vans. It really makes it look awesome. So, look at that. Awesome. Well, now that I got to look at it with the 75 to 78 grill, I'm going to take this off. What I think I want to do to help make this easier to take the body lift out and to do my headlight surgery and all that stuff, I think I'm going to disassemble most of the things I got to disassemble in this video, and then we'll work on doing separate projects on future videos. So I think I want to take the front fenders off because I've got to do the metal surgery in here behind the fenders. So I'll take the fenders off. They just got a few bolts through here. That looks like they're 9/16. 9/16 or ½ inch, one of the two. Take the fenders off, take the front bumper off just to get it out of the way because I'm going to do some welding and stuff here. And then I want to damage the chrome and then get into it. And add on antenna here, which apparently this is dangling. If you watch the original videos I did in this van back like, geez, like a year ago now, I guess, this thing had a ton of wiring in it because it was a handicap van, and it had a whole control panel with switches and stuff in the center. So I pulled a ton of wiring out of this thing, and now I'm just getting to the point where it's pretty much stripped down to nothing, and it's got to go back together. So this is one of the things that was loose, is this thing, but there was tons of crap under the hood that's all gone now. So I'm back down to original Econoline action pretty much, and that's good. So I'm just going to unbolt these fenders and get these out of the way, and then do a couple other things. It should be pretty simple. A couple of bolts around the top. There's one inside the door. There's a couple of bolts on the inner fender panel. Unplug the light, and then there's a couple of bolts up here on the front. And bam, it should come right off. Well, I haven't worked on one of these, this style of Econoline before, and I just found out that in order to remove the fenders, there's a bolt under the cowl panel here. So I got to remove the cowl panel, so I take the wipers off, and there's just a bunch of Phillips head screws in there. So I'm doing all that. I might as well take the hood off as well because I've got it propped up all the time here when I'm working on it. It's super small, so it should come right off. Just like that, bam! Did I get all the screws out of it? I think so. Yeah, it's got like rubber dum-dum holding it down. So come on out of there. There we go. It's coming. It's got like a foam seal on the front that's really there we go. Ooh. Yeah, like a foam seal on the front edge there. The reason I had to do that is there's a bolt over here that's under the cowl that I had to get to. So I've got all the other bolts out of the fender. If I can find my ratchet, we'll see if the fender will come off. Now the nice part of this van is it's never been apart and it's never been wrecked. So when I put all the panels back on, I'll have all the reference marks on the of the bolts. You know, because it was put together before it was painted, so I'll have all the reference marks of how the body panels will line up, because it leaves a hole where the washer was. It leaves a perfect paint imprint, so that'll be good. So, oh, is there another bolt down here? Oh, there's a hidden bolt. There's a hidden bolt inside down here. Huh. Ain't that a thing? go, a hidden bolt out of there. Now it should come off. There shouldn't be any more action up there. I just realized, looking down the side of this thing, this has got the same dent side in it that the 73 to 79 Fords have. I got my 77 Ford truck, and now I got this van. I'm like dent side guy. So that should be all the bolts of this fender. Ta-da! Oh yeah. This antenna, unplug my marker light. Look at that! Bam! This thing had been Z-barded when it was new. Got some crap in there, I can clean that out. But this fender is mint condition. This van is very nice, rust-wise. Mint condition. I'm going to go ahead and pop this antenna off and just plug the hole in the fender with something, because I don't need this antenna. I don't know what that was for. Maybe a CB. You can see the inner structure is super nice. It's obviously, when I bought this, the guy said the guy didn't run it in the winter, and that's pretty obvious. There's no salt in here, nothing. It's had that Z-bar undercoating put on it, but there's no salt stains, there's no rust. This van's in cherry shape, and I'm really glad I bought it. But you can see the structure. These things they're body on frame, but then all this front structure is all welded up. Here it's all welded on, so when I switch over to my headlights, I've got to drill some spot welds out and take the sheet metal off here and do some grafting and splicing over here. So that's why the fenders need to come off. But okay, I got the other fender off, and then I also took the front bumper off, and now I've sprayed down the bolts on the radiator. Here they're kind of rusty because they moved it down. They use really long bolts, and I'm spraying the fittings for the transmission cooler lines. They're kind of sometimes they get rusted up pretty good, so I sprayed all them. I'm going to leave it sit overnight, and then hopefully get this thing pulled out tomorrow. The next big job is going to be fixing the floor pans, and there is a adjustable seat pan for the wheelchair. That's all got to come out. They had cut the floor pan out and made a whole bunch of brackets and gussets. All that's got to come out so I can drop the body back down on the frame, get rid of the body lift, and put the body back where it's supposed to be. But not too bad to take this thing apart. Blew right apart pretty easy. It's in really nice shape. The only little bit of rust is I got one little tiny spot in the floor. They all seen the rust here by this piece, this cross piece here. And actually, I got a parts van out back, box truck, and it's actually got a good piece here where this is all rotted in this corner. It's got a good piece, but I got to see my headlight pieces. I might be able to cut a piece out. I can't remember how much. I think I cut them through here, so I've got this piece here. We'll get that fixed up. The van is like, about 98% rust free. It's a very nice shape body wise, so I'm really happy with that. Okay, I got the radiator out. It's the stock 2-row radiator here. It's got the Ford decal on it here, but as you can see, it's got a lot of, the core is pretty much shot. A lot of these fins are corroded real bad, and it's got a ton of effervescence. I don't know if you can see in there. The fins are plugged right up. You see all this effervescence here? That's probably where it's starting to seep. So this radiator is pretty much shot. It needs to be re-cored. But it being the two-row radiator, I would prefer, if I was going to pay to get it re-cored, to have a 3-row radiator. So I'm not going to do that. A lot of these brass radiators are getting out of fashion because they're so expensive to get the cores and stuff made for them. So a lot of people are making all aluminum radiators, or you get the cheap ones which have aluminum core and then plastic tanks. So I'm going to save this as a core. I'll mark it as what it is and put it away in the attic or whatever, just to save it as a core radiator for the tanks. But it's going to be so expensive to get this re-cored, and being only a 2-row radiator, I can buy an aftermarket aluminum all welded together one-piece 3-row radiator for like $300, which is more than I want to spend. But especially on a van, you got limited cooling, and I don't want to have the thing run hot. And this radiator is not going to cut it with this amount of damage that's on it here now. So I'll probably buy an aftermarket aluminum radiator and just save this one for parts. Hey, look at that there. And if you can see down in there. You can see down in there, you see all the barnacles on the core tubes. A lot of them are pretty much halfway sealed right off. So I'm going to set this aside. But now we can see what we got going on here. I've got a lot of power steering nonsense here. They had some kind of valve and control and stuff because of the way they had the steering set up for this. There was something else here I cut out of it a while ago. But it's pretty much... I bought some new power steering hoses. I got to take the old ones off and hook them up to the power steering pump. You can see there was a pulley that ran something else. I forget what it was. I think a separate hydraulic pump for the wheelchair lift was run off of that. And they extended this hose up. They had a return system built into the cap, clamped on there. But I'm going to get rid of all that and just go back to stock here. But you can see the front end pretty much wide open. It's got the 302 motor in here. Some things you can see, this steering column they used, they butchered it through the firewall because of the body lift. When I bolt the stock column in, I gotta fix that. Here's a big hydraulic servo motor that was hooked to the brake pedal. That's got to come out. Or I'm sorry, not hooked to the brake pedal. It was hooked up in place of the brake pedal, I believe, something like that. Inside my next focal point, what I'm going to be tackling in the next videos is fixing the floor up here. This pan, the seat pan here, see these rollers and all that, they've cut down into the stock footwell area. This pan allows you to adjust the height for the wheelchair. When it's up flush like this, the wheelchair could roll in from the back of the van, and then when you go to drive position, you set it down and it collapses this down into the floor to lower the wheelchair down so you're at proper ride height. So I was going to put these bucket seats in here. They're out of a Jeep Grand Cherokee, but I have original Ford seats now. So I'll pull this seat back out of here. I'm going to pull this hydraulic tiller steering column out. You used to just have a servo motor and you just had to move it a little bit to drive it. But it's also got it's also hooked to the steering shaft, so you can move it that way if you have to. It has a hydraulic servo motor here that would pull the column out of the way when you're getting into your wheelchair, then it would put it back so you could drive it. So I'm going to pull that out now. That's ready to come out. I don't need it anymore. I've still got a little bit of wiring on the dash to do. This is my, I've got a new bezel here without a hole cut in it. I've got to put a couple more wires back together. This is the ignition circuit here, which is still hooked up to the original aftermarket pod, which is laying over here, which ran the ignition. I have this original steering column now, so now I know which wires to splice back in to hook up to the original column, so I can start working on that. But I think tackling all this stuff will be the first order of business. Come on out of there. So I'm going to clean out this van and get all this stuff out of here. But you can see this is going to be a pretty cool project, but it's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. Mechanical work, fabrication, and a couple of cool things going on in between, wiring and stuff. So I bought this van right. I think I paid $1,200 for it off Craigslist last year in April 2020. It is rust free. You can't find these vans in mint shape around here where I live. They just don't exist. They're all rotted away. This thing's got 91,000 miles on it. It looks like it hasn't really been driven in the winter at all, so it's very, very nice rust-wise. A couple of little blisters where the paint burned off in the window, like the window trim leaked and stuff like that. This chrome molding has chipped the paint and it had rusted around the edges of that. But body-wise, this thing is mint. So I'm excited. We're going to backdate this thing to 1977 and proceed to build a Boogie van. But I'm going to spend the rest of the night tonight just cleaning out the back of this thing, getting organized, getting all my plastic bits and pieces out of the way, and then we're going to, next video we'll get into ripping all the seat pan out, and there's a bunch of braces underneath that they cut and modified and stuff. I got to cut all that out of there. Pretty much get this thing back to stock Econoline van action. So stay tuned for that. It's Boogie van action at the Quick Speed Shop.